Hello there. Good afternoon. It's I don't know, like 1:30 or so, and we're just getting started for the day. It's been a chain of events. So anyway, I just did the famous Bob throat clear. So anyway, what we're gonna do today is try and stretch a transmission pan. I don't know, these things are pretty stiff. If I could get two hands on there and pull real hard, it might pull apart, but I don't know. We'll try here in a bit. And the reason why we're going to try and stretch that pan on the workbench is because this one hangs quite a bit lower than the frame. And you might say to yourself, well, duh, just take that one there off, put the other one on. And, that's the end goal. But, you see, what's in the truck right now is a 6L90 transmission out of a 1-ton truck. And what's on the workbench over yonder is a Pontiac G8 transmission pan, low profile because it's out of a car. And it's actually the shortest of the GM pans for the 6L80. So you have like your CTSV pan, your Corvette pan, your Pontiac G8 pan, and then you got your truck pans for the 6L80s. Those are like the deep ones. And then you got the 6L90 right yonder. And that only comes with one size pan, which hangs below my frame. And I can guarantee you, I will doink that pan on the concrete. And that's the last of things that I want to do. So, what we're going to do, and what you're hopefully going to watch, is me take that 6L90 pan down, use the gasket as a template, and then we're going to section and section using that pan gasket as a template. We're going to section the pan, add a width to it, and lengthen it or stretch it. So let me crawl underneath this truck. Let me pull the pan down and get the gasket out of it, and maybe put a little dribble pad underneath there. I mean, we did just rebuild that trans, and it has 0 miles on it and 0 fluid, but it does have some clutch soaking fluid in there. So let me do that for you right quick, fast, and in a hurry, as they say. And let me show you what we're gonna do. So I'll get the tripod set up. I did pick up the garage a little bit. It still seems like a bomb went off in here, but that's typical when you're trying to rebuild an entire truck in a 2-car garage without a hoist, and legs get flailing and kicking everywhere, and parts go flying, and all the things. So anyway, hold real tight here, and we will try and get that pan on. Okie dokie. Let's take a look at what we're working with here. That is a 6L90 pan. That's a 6L80 pan. You can see they're shorter in both length and depth. So we're going to save ourselves some inches. I've heard of this being done 2 different ways. Let's use our gasket here. Think smarter, not harder. With our gasket as our guide, you can see we need to add about 1 inch to this thing. Now, we can extend this rear frame, or this rear pan rail, fill those 3 holes up with weld, and just take a piece of flat stock, put her on there, and call it a day. Pop those new holes. we can also stretch this pan. So you're going to end up taking, let's see here, what would we do? We'd have to cut and section the pan and stretch it out. I don't know how many fluid ounces that would, save us basically. But you can definitely tell here that that pan is shallower. You're right. And with a shallower pan is less fluid. And with less fluid may or may not be, cooling. So let me tell you what I know about cooling. The better the cooler you have, which would be your air to water style, which would be in your radiator, instead of just air to air, which would be like a blow through auxiliary heater. Cooling properties of water are always better than air. So with that being said, I'm going to run a 40,000 GVW cooler in addition to the radiator. I'm going to go right on through it. I'm going to cycle through the radiator to the auxiliary cooler, back, and out we go. So that's my plan. I understand that you could add more fluid capacity, but that may just take longer to heat up. But once it's heated, it's heated. And then you're relying on your coolers. So let's get back to this. What we're going to do is, since we know that hole and that hole are the same on both pans, gasket lines up to it, I'm going to cut the old pan 1 inch behind that hole, because all the extra length is right here on this pan. I'm going to cut this pan straight across, and I'm going to go, I think I have that marked at 3/4 of an inch. So there should be a 1/4 inch overlap that I can play with if I need to. Maybe I might want to go a little bit longer on this pan just because, but I think that should work out, and I'll tell you why. Hold on. This guy, what do we got there? About 2 inches, is deeper than this guy at 1.5 inches behind that. So technically this guy should slide in to this and only need a little bit of, metal extended. That says 3/4. 3/4 on the nuts right there. Wonderful. All right, look at what we got here. So my clamps that I had weren't working. So I just lightly tacked this piece of 3-inch on there. And that held it. I might have gotten a little aggressive down here with the tacks on the rail, but I mean, whatever. Put a piece of block of wood there and clamped the pan in the vise. Made a nice straight cut. Now we'll repeat the process on the other pan. Remember, we're going to cut the other pan longer, and we'll see how it works out for me. It really has not been my day, but hopefully this will be a game changer. Looks pretty fun. Okay, here we are. We've got 3/4 of one pan. There's the rest of it right there. Here's the back half of the 6L90 pan. Let's see what we did. I had just a heck of a time trying to get that thing cut. I I welded that piece of straight on there thinking that me and my Sawzall would get along today, and well, we're just not friends. It's just not meant to be. So let's take a look at this here and see what we ended up with. Try to do this single-handedly here, but I mean, look at that. That's pretty damn close. Let me try and get the holes in the right spot here, but I mean, we're off by a half a hole. My cut isn't straight, so if I whack that into shape with the grinder, we might be right there. And we're only like a 1/4 inch high. It's almost like it was meant to be. But I got some steel laying around where we can just kind of, do things. So let's try and do things. All right, let's use our gasket here as our template. Start filling in some circles here. Now this is a nice rigid GM template here, so it has the non-crush design to it, and it's not very flimsy, so we can trust this, a little bit more than one of them floppy old rigid or cork or whatever deals. So we'll just fill in the circles here, and I've done a few of them already. And then lay that gasket to the side, and you can see what we end up with here is dots. And we'll use those dots to our advantage. So we know we want to keep this side of the pan, and we'll lay that pan on over the top of those dots, and they line up swimmingly. That's step one. Okay, so then we're going to move on to step two. Step two, all we're going to do is take and put the section of pan that we cut off, that we're going to graft to this other pan, and we're going to kind of see where we're at here. And right off the bat, and we knew this going into it, that we were going to be a little on the long side. We did that intentionally. So you can see that you can't really see the dots there. I mean, you can just see them kind of poking through. But it gives us a starting place. This side over here, I'm going to just flap disc it. And we'll just kind of pull this in slowly. Everything at this stage is going to have to be slow. We can take a little bit off of here, a little bit off of here. But eventually what we want to end up with is seeing those dots filled in the hole. Or see the holes filled in with the dots. And then we're going to have to make a little plate to go from here to here. Shouldn't be too bad. Let's get our flap wheel fired up, and we'll just move in on this really slowly. All right, I wanted to show you guys this. Even though we had our best efforts to cut that as straight as possible, you can see how that's leaned back some. This one's not as straight as it could be either, but me and my Sawzall, like I said, we aren't friends, and but the nice thing is I've got a half a hole here, maybe 3/4 of a hole of grinding, and I should be able to shape this in and get it pretty dang close. The other side's a little bit better, and then we'll have to make our little top piece here, but I think we should be okay. I mean, we got, half a hole, 3/4 of a hole to grind, which is quite a bit, but actually, It's more on just the pan rail because it'll end up sliding inside the other. And that might be easier for us to make our top piece with. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and get started making the sparks fly. Let's see where we are with the old hide the dots or connect the dots or all the dots. So I've been doing a little grinding, and it didn't take much, just a couple of felt tip markers with, and that flap disc over there just makes super quick work. So let's see what we got. Ooh, boy, I don't know if you can see that, but you're about to. Look at that. Look at how nice those fit. Oh yeah. It's almost like it should have been like this. Now all I have to do is make this little piece for here. And lucky for me, I have all these boxes that lay around and accumulate. Especially this time of year, they really get to accumulating. So we're 11 1/4 wide here, and I'm gonna make this. I think it's pretty close to 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches will get it done. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a rectangle here, cut it out real pretty like, and then I'm gonna slide the two boxes or the two halves of this together. I'm going to trace around the outside on the back side here, and then the front side over here. I should be able to cut it out, and then we'll end up with this shape. We'll transfer that over to a piece of metal, cut it out. That'll probably take a little bit of time, and then we'll weld it in. Okie dokie. Let's see if this is going to work here. I don't know. Alright, so here's my plan. I figure if I draw a line on this side and draw a line on this side, and I cut both of that away, I should be left with a thin piece that merges right in there. No cut, no muss, no fuss. I think the key is going to be to get ourselves lined up as best as possible here. And go for it. So, follow me while I stand in your way, like I always do. Okay, woo! Now, get out my scissors, and we'll cut. Your scissors will cut! Okay, whew, that's a lot of work. So this is the negative of the pan on this side. This is the positive of the pan on this side. And with the two here in the center, should just be able to go ahead and toss this in over yonder here. And that will be our adapter piece. Hey, why don't you get over here so you can see what the hell's going on, would you? Look at that. So that's pretty slick. Should be able to get away with that. It actually fits incredibly well. And then I'll pull out my sheet of steel over there on the other side. I haven't showed that to you yet. And we will transfer this over and then cut a piece out of that. And then fire up the welder and ruin my day. So, that should, I'm thinking we'll have a successful operation here. Let me go unbox this huge piece of steel that I bought, and we'll do some transfer. Okay, now that I've got my piece of steel out there, we've got to cut this piece out of it. Seems slightly excessive. All right. So let's cut that piece out with a grinder. I will not use my Sawzall. Man, the Sawzall don't get along. And we will, then we'll whittle that down to size. And then we'll take this piece of steel and we'll set it in the corner. Because there's enough there for my entire lifetime. So we made a little progress here. I think it's comfortable progress. Got my little sliver piece set up here. I think that's good to go. I think what I'll do is I'll put a tack here, a tack here. That way the pan stays where it needs to be. And then we'll just gently, ever so slightly, start putting this piece in. The high spots we can obviously leave or grind down. And we're just going to go at it as smooth and steady as we possibly can. So there is a little bit of gap, but I think overall it'll be just fine. So let me get the preliminary stages done here, and I'll bring you back on. Maybe we can do some welding together, but for right now, I have to kind of work with that, and I think that it'll work just fine. All right, well, I got a couple of small tacks on the pan rails here. Hold it in place. Held it nice and flat to the garage floor. Made sure that it wasn't all bowed up or anything else like that. Put a couple of tacks there to hold it. And now we're going to start fitting this little guy in here. I know it probably would have made more sense to do it on the inside of the pan. However, the way that things turned out, the inside of the pan isn't where it wants to fit. So I've got clean contact surfaces on both sides, and now we're just going to go ahead and put some small tacks and see where we end up. Speaking of where we end up, I don't know where I put my welding helmet. Wish I had like 12 hands. Or a proper welding table. Because everybody welds on wood. Missed it the first 4 times, but I got it that last one. All right. My welder might be a little hot, but I think that's good for tacking. Let me tack this in a couple more spots. I'll bring you back on and we'll see what it looks like. I gotta tell you, I think this is gonna end up good. I got a couple of tacks on. There's a little bit of gap, but I have a MIG machine, so we can fill that gap. And this is gonna turn out pretty a-okay. I don't know if there's enough room for me and you in here at the same time, but I'll set you up over here and you can watch. And if it looks like hell, well then, you know, that's just how it goes. I'm going to get to work. Alright, well you guys get the picture. I'm going to continue on with this, and I'll catch you when it's finished. Well, here we are. Got the pan full of water after the weld, and we're going to do a drip test and wait. I think, pull you away here, I think we're doing okay. That little spot down there was there when we started. But I don't see anything as of right now. But we're going to leave her go for another hour or better and see what we end up with. Okay, friends, well there we have it. There's our final product. Doesn't look too terribly bad. We got ourselves a shallow pan that's been extended by 1 3/8 inches. Looks pretty good. The weld on the inside isn't terrible. And this weld on the back side isn't bad. I got a little impatient there and I had a leak, so we had to weld that up, use some good penetration. And then we got over here. So it ain't bad. We got ourselves a homegrown job, is basically what we're going to call it. And now we're going to crawl underneath the truck real quick, bolt it up, and see what we end up with. Alright friends, I have something really nice to show you guys. Let's take a look underneath, look at our final product here. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. We're tucked right up in there. We can lay frame all day if we want to. And I think there should be enough fluid in there, you know, just for normal driving. Now, if you were doing some sort of drag race deal or drag only without, you know, adjustable suspension or what have you, obviously we'd stay with the 6L90 pan. But since we have ourselves a special project here and we have adjustable suspension, I think this pan will suit our needs just fine. Was it a little bit extra work? Yes, it was a lot of work. I think we probably have 4 hours in it or whatever. But I mean, for custom things, you know, you need to do custom work. But anyway, that's all I have for you on this episode, and I'm happy that you guys stuck around. Let's go ahead and like and subscribe like always, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you again.